Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just really talk through, from Britannic's perspective, what are we doing with customers, a little bit about our middleware and integration capability, and ultimately, you know, we've seen some great technology today. We've got some more great technology to see in the demo suite as well. Our role is one of a systems integrator, working with customers to review where you're at today, where you want to get to, the role of the different technology, how we bring it together, and how we go and deliver and support it into your businesses to meet your strategies, whether that's understanding and improving customer experience, whether we're working with Morris to audit what's already there and understand the actual customer experience and contact channels, whether it's looking at designing new channels into the organisation and incorporating social media. So ultimately that's the role of Britannic, and what I'm going to do, yeah, for sure, there's lots of technology. There's a hell of a lot of technology that's available at our disposal. Spanning partners that are here today, and indeed a host of others, but also using technologies and services that we've created over what is in excess of 30 years in the industry. The things that we tend to be talking to people about more often than not, certainly around the contact center space, are up on the screen. So to cloud or not to cloud, do we deploy technology on premise? Are we creating virtual contact centers? Are we moving the technology into cloud environments? Are we linking people and locations together? So are we removing the traditional barriers that have been associated with the physical location of where people are at? How do we deploy and make the technology available? So again, lots and lots of case studies and success stories around speed of deployments, delivering agile working, introducing new technologies, because we are in a world that customers' expectation continues to change, communication channels continue to change, and certainly what we saw tracking back a number of years ago now was a great opportunity to move all of this stuff into data centers, into cloud environments, to make it easier for people to consume the technology. And the next piece was very much about, then there becomes lots of other great technology that's available, again delivered as cloud services. So how do you integrate into those platforms? So a main part of what we're doing today is providing integration into other networks and other cloud service providers to actually deliver the technology to the businesses and the people, and remove a lot of the complexity around how this stuff joins together. Multimedia, for sure, we are definitely seeing adoption and interest around both multimedia, where I consider elements such as web chat or email or SMS. A lot of this stuff we've been doing for many, many years. As a business, we bought a software company back in 2000. With it came some interesting technology. We developed it. We created a CRM platform. CRM, customer relationship management, one of those terms that was very en vogue 15, 20 years ago. But at the time, what we were doing was bringing multiple media streams into that platform and being able to store the different interactions against customer records. So, whether it be sending SMS messages, emails, click to call, screen pop, and actually recording all those interactions into databases. Now, a lot of this tech has been there for some time. Yes, there are new communication channels. The growth of social has been exponential. Things such as YouTube and Twitter and Facebook are really becoming very well embedded into how we communicate today. And I think for me, what's interesting is where organisations get it right. They absolutely, it's not just a case of deliver great customer service and build great reputation in the industry. 100% they reduce the cost to serve those customers. Personally, I've had two examples of that I'll talk through. One was really great service from from an organisation I just didn't expect, and the other one was really bad service from an organisation that I'd already, that caught me by surprise, because when I started working with them, the experience was great. So the first one, the really great experience was, I was buying some wooden flooring for the house, right? And I've been going around, as you do, sat there Googling, finding different companies to talk to and get quotes for. And I narrowed my search down to a couple, and it's so easy these days just to click next in Google and find the next source, the next provider. So narrowed it down. I had a question I wanted to ask, sent an email that went into the organisation, very quick response back. And I thought, okay, this, they're giving me the information I want very quickly, very efficiently. The price was comparable with some of the other organisations I was looking at. But then I had some further questions, and I wanted to talk to someone. So I picked the phone up, called into the call centre, answered quickly, efficiently. They had my previous correspondence up on the screen, the emails that I'd sent in. They'd obviously created a database record. They recognised me and answered me personally when I called in. We worked together where they actually uploaded, there was a facility on the website to place an online order. They actually uploaded what I needed onto the web for me, based upon the information on the conversation and the email. And it was very simple that when I was ready, I just proceeded and made the payment online. Really great customer service, very efficient. And what was important for me was the ability to move through these different channels, because I was able to go online when I was at home. Then I was sending an email from my phone when I was out and about, and then when I had a bit of time, I was able to make a phone call. And all of this was blended together, and I didn't have to waste any of my time repeating myself. The other experience, which was an interesting one and really shows the power of social media today, was I'd set up a website for a friend's business, and that had worked very well. And it was a company that advertises on the TV. I won't mention who they are because we're recording it, but what happened was anytime I needed some help, put a call in, and someone answered it very efficiently. Great service, able to do what I needed to do. And then I came to the point when the business had moved on, and a new website was created, and we needed to cancel this contract. So I put a call in to explain that actually don't need this website anymore. It's been really great, but we need to cancel. So what you need to do, Mr. Sharp, is you need to phone this particular number. Right, okay, could you just put me through? Would that be okay? No, can't do that. You'll have to phone back on this particular number. Okay, I'll do that. So I phone back, and I'm put on hold. I'm now in a queue, and 10 minutes has elapsed, right? And I don't have time to sit on a queue for 10 minutes. So I sent an email in, look, I've done what you've asked, but really I need to move on. So take this as confirmation I'm cancelling, and I cancel our direct debit with the bank. Of course, I then get a response, thanks for the email. To cancel, you need to phone this number. Well, you know what? I've moved on. And I then got a letter from that organisation a number of weeks later to tell me that my payment didn't go through. Well, obviously I knew that. And what then happened is a few weeks later I got a letter from a debt collection agency telling me that I owed them £35 or something. So now I'm pretty dissatisfied as a customer. I've gone from thinking the service they were offering day one was brilliant, and actually being an advocate and telling other people about my experience, to now I'm so frustrated. If anyone ever asks me, and in fact don't even ask me, I'm going to tell you how bad it was, I'll go out of my way to do that I just couldn't do something as simple as leave them as a customer. I couldn't cancel, and I then was determined I was going to sort this out. So I sat on the phone for half an hour in a queue until I finally got answered. But in between that time, I sent an email in just so you know, I am now setting up a Twitter account and I'm going to tell the world about my experience. And within 1 minute of sending that email in, I had a response: sorry for your inconvenience, Mr. Sharp. We have now cancelled the contract and you need to not take any further action. I think, you know, that really underlines the power and importance of social media today. And I think, you know, really ignore it at your peril. And the technology that we've just seen, have been able to understand, integrate and bring it into the organisation so that people don't have to go through that level of frustration, because those feelings are left with people for a very, very long time. So there's lots of technology available. What I'm going to do is talk about a few before we move into the demonstration area. So computer telephony integration, CTI, you know, something that has been used in contact centres for many, many years now. Back in the day, you know, as a business we've been providing it for 18, 20 years now. Back in the day it was bespoke integration every time, it was expensive, it was complex to do, and it was one of those things that if somebody wanted it, you know, it was sucked through the teeth kind of response. Oh, that's, you know, that's going to be expensive, right? So whilst we've been providing it to customers, we looked at it and said there's got to be an easier way. So we created a middleware application just to make this whole process easy, because it's one of the tools that makes a big difference in how you engage with customers. If when somebody calls in, you've got their correspondence, you've got their information, you've got their records up on the screen when they call in, the experience is going to be better. It's going to be a much more efficient service that you're going to deliver to customers. You know, talking to that point of make it easy to do business with you, it not just improves the experience and the advocacy of customers, it also reduces the cost. So we built a middleware platform that is today incredibly easy to deliver CTI. You know, we integrate across 65 different phone system applications, 60 odd different software applications, and we provide a developer's toolkit so that this is one of those great tools that people have used and people love when they experience it as a customer, to not have to repeat themselves, to not have to say who they are, and to not have to wait 20, 40 seconds for somebody to bring your record up, right? And if you do get transferred, to not have to start all over again. You know, you should be not just moving the call to someone else, you should be moving that screen of the database to someone else as well. So computer telephony integration, common things, a call comes in, you recognise the number who's calling, and you provide a pop into a database. Yeah? So lots of databases we work across. That's done through our Net Connect platform. So, you know, we've won awards, which is great, you know, for the integration layer. It's not just something we deliver to our customers, but we also have software vendors and other system integrators who use this middleware platform to enable their software for screen popping and click to dial for their customers as well. So other people sell this across the market. And I think it's not just a case of, you know, things such as simple screen pop and click to dial, which have got a lot of benefit. It's also about looking at database conditions as well. So, you know, as the profile and the conditions change within your database, you can start to take different routing decisions. You can do routing based upon data flags or data fields. Automatically log information as to what's happening. You know, integrate with websites. You know, the idea of click a button and actually bring a call into the contact center and see the page that people have been looking at up on the website. So, you know, these are really great opportunities to start to use middleware to glue systems together. You know, also the idea of call recording. So something else that I think is really important within the contact center space to understand, you know, how do you not just govern the interaction with customers and understand the experience, but how do you start to measure and monitor the interaction and the performance of staff? How do you look at you know, the star players? How do you create scoring cards and reviews and build this into the appraisal and development process of people as well? So, you know, not only do people use call recording from a a perspective of actually, dealing with complaints handling, we've got some great examples of customers using call recording and evaluation and monitoring to actually develop the experience, develop the experience and improve the approach of the people within the call centre. And of course, what you have is the ability to start to store and access call recording files from the CRM system as well. So we're looking at the interaction, we can actually bring up the recording of what was said. We can even look into the screens that people were working on when they were handling that transaction. So it's not just playing back the conversation that was had, we can actually see like an idea like a video replay of what the agent was working on as they were talking to that customer. There's lots of benefits, I think. So ability to really shrink the time of that initial introduction point of the call coming in. So reduce that down, creates greater opportunity to improve the productivity of the staff. Definitely can reduce customer waiting times, because if somebody's having to go through and find records, they're not answering calls for other people. I definitely think it can help to differentiate in service. It's still, we still see a lot of people that don't use CTI today. One of our flagship customers, Trailfinders, we take other people to go and see this in operation, and just to play the call recording back and hear the impression that customers get when they're answered personally, and they're able to talk through the previous interactions and holidays and trips that they've taken with that business is really great. And of course, what it does is it creates you with an opportunity to start that call off on the right foot. If I'm able to answer the call and see previous buying patterns and trends, and I know that if someone's buying this particular product, they're more likely to buy that one as well, or they're willing to buy that one. Those are the sort of conversations I should be having on the call. If I can't access that data, what level of interaction am I going to have with that customer? So lots of opportunities with CTI. SIP trunking is something else that we've really led the way in as a business. So started, SIP is one of those technical terms, right? But it's basically a protocol. One of the main things that it's used for is routing telephone calls. But instead of routing it over traditional lines that people had used, ISDN, so digital connections, it's over a data connection. And the idea is that we're using data connections for multiple streams of communication today, not just phone calls. So why do I think this is a benefit? Well, okay, if I'm starting to move towards cloud or centralized models, I can have reduce my line reduction down accordingly. There's a cost saving. But the big one is I can start to look at availability, business continuity. If particular numbers have got problems or routes into my business have got problems, I can automatically divert them elsewhere. And then there's a layer of intelligence, a layer of data that we're able to pull to this SIP platform to share with customers. So the idea of feeding into big data streams. And beyond that, one of the projects that we've concluded this week for Trailfinders was what they wanted to do was to integrate their network, so the calls coming into the business, into their CRM system. Yeah. So at network level, they take a feed out of the CRM system. They're looking at what they've defined as their top customers, so their VIP customers, and as the calls hit the network, they've got priority routing of how those are distributed into their organisation. So some really, really clever stuff. Not having to bring the calls into the contact centre and then start to take decisions based upon that. But right at the first point of that call hitting the network, we've placed them into different queues and able to treat them differently. And of course, at that point, all of this data, we know profiles of who's calling, where they're calling from, regularity of call, and how we're dealing with it. So lots of great stuff ultimately at our disposal to work with customers to design systems to improve customer experience and productivity. Cloud. So we talk about cloud, and I think, as I said, there's lots of technology and lots of services that we're delivering up in the cloud layer. So the stuff that you've seen today and the stuff that the technologies we're working with can be delivered as cloud applications, can be delivered on a consumption cost per user per month model, and importantly, we're able to interconnect. So there's a whole networking layer below this, but what we're able to do is to connect to existing networks, to connect to other cloud providers, other data center providers. So we're able to blend these different technologies together and deliver them for customers. Okay, we should be starting the MITAB one soon, so I'll pick up on a few points here. But I think call recording, if you don't use it in the contact center, it's definitely something that we've seen a lot of benefit of people doing. As I said, not just complaints handling, but coaching, understanding what the experience is from a telephony perspective, understanding what the experience is from an agent perspective of, I'm using this system to service my customer, and actually, is it efficient enough to be able to keep up with what I need? Are certain agents struggling with the same part of the software application? Do we need to give a different level of training to be able to improve the experience, the skills and the experience that the customer's having? And I think, to me, that's one of the things that we shouldn't underestimate, is what we should be doing is taking all this data, all these feeds, all this information, and actually building this into our staff training and development program, because, as Maurice has rightly pointed out, happy, engaged staff create happy and engaged customers, right? So if we're going to do that, let's use the tools to understand how we're actually expecting people to service our customers and actually make it easier for them to do their job. Quality management, there's a couple of slides on this, but the idea of actually building out adherence reports and quality checks. So when I'm listening to calls back, I'm able to check people have said things they should do, or how have they handled particular questions, or how have they communicated what they should do, put a score against it. I can then start to grade the interactions and the people across the team, and I can set my benchmarks and my targets. And the concept very much with all of this should be about take the experience that's delivered by the best and try and replicate that across the many, right? And I think, to me, the quality management and recording is a great way of doing it. Okay, so we're on the home stretch now. So there's a lot of technology. We haven't talked about all of the technology at our disposal. We've shown a number of the things today. For us, we're a firm believer in working with customers to understand where they're at today, where they want to get to, what technology they're using, what challenges they've got, and what opportunities are available. And to do that, we need to invest some time, right? So we go in, we work with customers, we understand what the business strategy and objectives are, we understand what channels are being used, what technology is in place. We work together with the Customer Experience Foundation to understand the customer experience and the channels and the potential models that could be implemented, and ultimately how technology can underpin all of that. And at that point, we're then starting to look at some of these new measurements that we probably need as well. Going right back to the very start, the introduction, where I was talking about these are the traditional metrics within the call center. Well, you know what? They're kind of aligned around heavy telephone interaction. Things have changed. So what should we be using today to reflect the way in which customers are contacting us and the way in which we need to evolve as a business? There's lots of benefits of integration. To me, we've seen some really great projects where customer experience and service improves dramatically. It creates great cross-sell, upsell opportunities. So, additional revenue, reduces cost to serve. I think, one of the great comments I saw recently was, customer service is is an ethos, is a culture. It's not a department. And if we're talking about how we bring together an organisation and link the different facets of a business to be able to interact with customers, there's some great things that we can do. Linking the front office, the back office, all these different channels together to deliver great, efficient customer service, an intelligent and an appropriate interaction. So steps that we could go through, how a customer's contacting us today. So an audit process of what channels are being used. There's a lot of different technology that's available. We've seen some of it today. How do you identify customers? So if somebody's contacting you, what information do you have? Whether it's coming in via SMS, via email, via web interaction, or indeed via the phone. And again, a few examples around the phone from a CTI perspective. What options are there for deploying self-service? Because it has a place. There's quite a strong feeling about IVR and automated systems, but they have a place. If I need to give a meter reading, I'd much rather phone up and do it over the phone. Or if I want to check the balance of my bank account, I've got no issue phoning it up whilst I'm in the car, obviously on hands-free. And if it's easy, I get what I want, I'm happy. I'd rather not have to sit in a queue and wait for someone, or it may not be convenient to go in and log in via a device. So what are the options, how can we use it, and what's appropriate, and how does that blend in to our overall customer experience? If we're thinking from an interaction perspective, what happens after 20 seconds? People don't like to sit on, from a phone perspective, do not like to sit on the phone for a long period of time. They don't want to hear your call is important to us, but not important enough for us to answer it at the moment. What are the options? What are the choices? How can we extend it across different groups and people within the business? Can we offer people callback facilities? The other thing is, if we want to support the shift towards channel shift and potential digital channels, by all means, how do we deliver that service via the web? But it's got to be intuitive and it's got to be easy. And I remember phoning up the Inland Revenue and being told, do you know you can complete your tax return online? And being told that for the next half an hour when I'm waiting to talk to someone, because whilst I may have been able to do it online, I still had a question I needed to talk to somebody about. So it's also about what's appropriate, what's right. How do you route callers and interaction today? Skills routing, preference routing. What I think for me is great is Trailfind as a business, worked with them for many, many years, started working with them when there were 50 people in the business. There's well over 1,000 today. Virtually every single member of staff is a call centre agent. 95% of the business is done over the phone, and what they're able to do is to deliver highly personalised customer service and handle 5 million calls a year. And they've done it by using technology intelligently and linking together data and identification of customer to be able to tailor the service that they deliver. Maximise data. There's lots of information. What can we do there? Why are people calling, contacting you? How do you deal with them? What choices do you have? Supervisors, staff, what information do you present to people? What's available on the screen? One of the conversations we were having this week with a business was about using RSS feeds to present information up on the screen to agents, taking data out of other systems and presenting that to them. How do you implement changes? Now again, that's a big one, right? So this is where a lot of the challenges come of actually introducing new technology. The idea of the workshop, scoping it out, getting buy-in. We've done a lot of these over a long period of time where we go in and we work with not just the IT team but the business team, and we look at what it is you're trying to achieve, and then we will design systems and approaches and options to support that. Because what we know is the last thing you want to be in a position of is finger pointing that we said we wanted to do this, we haven't achieved what we wanted to achieve, and we then get into a blame culture. So we invest the time up front where we bring bring the people, bring the teams together, and actually design something that ultimately creates a win-win, creates a position that is going to deliver upon the requirements of the stakeholders. Lots of questions we can go and ask. What I'd just like to reiterate, as a business, we've been doing this for a very long time. Got a lot of experience in contact centres and delivering the technology that you've seen, plus a lot of other technology to market. And I think for me, it's the importance of knowing what's possible with technology. How many people do I go and see who we say, what would you like to do? How would you like it to work? Well, we don't know what's possible. Can you guide us? Can you help us? That comment of you don't know what you don't know. So our approach is to really work with our partners, the vendors, work with partners such as Customer Experience Foundation, and use our experience of delivering the solutions and integrating them together to go in, to advise what's possible, to challenge some thinking, to give some new ideas, some new approaches, and design a way forward for customers. So hopefully that's given you a good flavour of where we're at, what we're doing, and what's available today. And I think what we'll do now is we'll move out into the demonstration area, and we'll get to see Mitel's technology, what they're doing, and welcome the opportunity to meet you individually and answer any questions that you have. Thank you.